hosts, the Robrick family. Happy Saturday. Jean Paul and myself, we just want to say hi to all of you. Hope you're doing fine. And first time ever, we're doing something a little different.
Yep.
We're expanding our horizons. We're covering new promotions. And today we're going to be talking about NWA.
Yep, NWA Into the Fire, their first pay-per-view event. It was pretty good. Pretty good show.
Yeah, and pretty quick too.
Yeah, it was only 2 hours. They were so used to the WWE's like 4-hour torture fest. This was short. Did like a lot of matches were, like shorter than we thought, like sweet to the point. And the one thing just taken away from, like I said, it was a good, decent pay-per-view. It was just really like old school. Wasn't a lot of like big spots. There wasn't anything like flippy dives. It was real.
Oh no, yeah, like
a real old school
style. Old school atmosphere, old school like theme. Everything was handled the way that the old school like wrestling promotions will do. The old school NWA did it. Yeah. So yeah, we all got that vibe, and it's the first time that we're checking them out. We've been following the product like every time that we got some chance, because we know their shows are on YouTube, and we follow the controversy with Jim Cornette and everything. But I feel that like it got our money's worth. I think it was good. Like we got the pay-per-view and we just watch it. I feel content.
Yeah.
Especially because, like you said, it's 2 hours. It's not 4.5 hours. It's not 5.5 hours. I'm not juiced out. I don't think you are either.
No.
So
and just like the ending too, just when Marty Scrull showing up and all that. The end, like that was just set the whole. Because now it's like you. I'm sure we weren't the only ones who this is the first time we're watching the new NWA.
NWA, yes.
So it's like, what can we do to hook people so they keep watching? You bring in a big name like that.
A big name. The hottest free agent right now. Marty.
Yep, Scrull.
Marty Scrull.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I have some issues saying it. And yeah, just a little bit of background when it comes to NWA. The owner of the company is Billy Corgan. You probably know him from the Smashing Pumpkins. And see, here's the one that, like, I guess he's a really fan of old school stuff. And he's bringing a lot of people that he knows from Impact because he owns some shares, a part of the company. And I think they put a decent pay-per-view, and we're going to go over it right now. First match.
The show started with Ely Drake versus Ken Anderson. And for like an opening match, it wasn't bad. There's some back and forth between both men early on. Anderson, he takes over for a while. And then Ely Drake, he's able to fight back, hits a stun gun, followed by a cutter for a 2 count. That was like the first real impressive spot of the match, I felt. Drake hits a big knee on Anderson while he's hung up on the ropes. And then followed by a rope shoulder tackle. He like uses the rope and like flings himself back into the ring. Ely takes over then for a while, wearing down Anderson. Anderson and Ely exchange blows. Anderson fights back and hits the roller for a 2 count. I think that was his finisher. Like on his back at Ken Anderson.
Yeah, he tried that. Yeah, he tried that, and the match was really intense. Good.
Yeah, and then towards the end, I like this spot where he goes up for the superplex.
Yes.
And then Anderson falls through, and you think he's gonna hit the power bomb.
He's gonna hit a power bomb.
And then Drake just like drops all his weight on Anderson's shoulders
and rolls him. And then for the 1, 2, 3, I saw a few swinging net breakers from Ely Drake. He's a really good wrestler.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For the ones that don't know where he comes from, again, his background is from Impact. He was a TNA or Impact champion. He was feuding 2 years ago with Alberto Del Rio, John Morrison, newly signed from WWE, and the ones that remember Ken Anderson, Mr. Kennedy in WWE. Another guy that had his past also on Impact, and now he's on NWA. And the match was, like I said, pretty decent. Nice opening for a pay-per-view. And for us, I would say maybe for me a little short. I thought it was going to be a little longer, but it did what it did.
Yeah, and then going on, I didn't know if like this was the end of a feud or the start of the feud, but you saw then, this
later on we're going to keep going with
this wasn't the end for these guys tonight. And then there was a promo from Nick Aldis, and he says he's the real world's champion, and then he's just promoting, talking about the match tonight. James Storms comes out. He also cuts a promo, and I like how they do it like the old school way where you have the one guy, the announcer.
You want the interviewer, you have the announcing team, which by the way was Wade Barrett or Stu Barrett, and they have the one on the one end, and then they have like the announcer, like the Mean Gene, or you will say like the main announcer, like
whoever the interviewer is or whatever.
They have him there, and then of course they had the champion coming out first. He got a promo, National Treasure. I'm the the
real world,
world champion. Mentioning how NWA is great, we gotta embrace the NWA and all of that, and then James Storm comes out, and they actually how to stare down.
Yeah.
Something that is like really, really old school. That's from the times of Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and all of that.
Oh, yeah. And then we get the second match, Tasha Steelz versus Thunder Rosa. And this was her debut match, I guess, Tasha. So Thunder Rosa starts out strong. She pretty much dominated this whole match. She was disrespecting Tasha, like she had her hung up in the ropes, and she's like kicking her heels back, like kicking her in the face while talking to the ref. Then she gets her in a surfboard hold, picks her up, carries her around the ring. And then Tasha rolls out from a stomp attempt and tries to make a comeback. She hits a cutter for a 2 count, but then 2 big kicks on Tasha and then the stomp for the win. So that was pretty much the end of that match. And then after the match, Alicia, I'm not sure if it was Fox or Vox, because it sounded like they weren't really saying Fox. I don't know. So
Ashley Fox. Ashley Fox.
So she came out to make the save, and Rosa beat her down as well, and like had her in like a submission. What was she like, pulling back on the arm?
Yeah, she was like a submission hold, and she was trying to get the shoulder out of the socket. Yeah, so that's what it was.
And she was and it's supposed to be in a tag team match later on tonight.
Later on in the night, but I think we got to give a bit of background. Rosa she's Mexican. And the other girl, what's the name? The name?
Tasha Steelz.
Tasha Steelz, like she's Puerto Rican. She came out, she cut a promo also saying that she's like the Puerto Rican style, Puerto Rican mama, and all of that. And then they went at it. I said Rosa is the heel here.
Oh yeah.
Rosa is the heel, and she came out strong. And they did mention that she has like a documentary, like she was trying to go on MMA also. Okay. That would be nice for us to check.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That would be nice for check. But see, the women's match in this case, I would say it was to the point. You know, it didn't take like long time. It was like 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
Oh yeah, probably not even. Yeah, I mean it wasn't like that short. It was more like a really drawn out like squash match. Like I said, Tasha only had that one little bit of offense towards the end to to try to make a comeback, and then it was done.
Yes, like so for her maybe not a great showing, but for Rosa, yes.
Oh yeah, they're definitely trying to build her up because clearly their women's champion is babyface.
Yes,
and then,
maybe Rosa could be the one that like is trying to go for a championship right there, a championship opportunity. And for a second match, I did appreciate that. It was good. Like we all getting to know these new wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
So every time that we get to see new wrestlers, new moves, or at least new styles is always interesting to see.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
And then we get the question mark versus Trevor Murdoch, and then Student Stevens, as he was called here, Eric Stevens, he comes out with the question mark. They're a duo.
Ninja.
Yeah, and then like the crowd, they always cheer for question mark, but they boo Stevens, so that's like a funny gimmick, and that was Damian Sandow.
Is Damian Sandow from WWE, or also he had a little bit of pass on Impact on TNA, but most people will know him as Damian Sandow on WWE. And the match itself was decent. Take us through some of the highlights.
And beforehand, they do the whole, because this played a point into the match, they have the Mongrovian, I believe is like a made-up country, and that's the Mongrovian flag, and they start singing the national anthem. And then that gets interrupted when Trevor Murdoch comes down. And this match, again, like none of these matches, these first couple opening ones, they didn't seem like they felt like they should have been a little longer.
Yes.
Because this wasn't very long. You know, you get some big slams on question mark from Murdoch, and he hits 3 of them. He tries to take question mark's mask off, but then palm strikes to the throat. By question mark, he does that like the strike.
He like the spike.
The spike to the throat for a 2 count, which is his finisher.
Yes.
And then a little bit more back and forth, big chops from both men. Question mark hits a big drop kick. Murdoch gets a foot onto the ropes after that drop kick, and then he hits a really bad looking spine buster, he said, because he like picked him up.
And he was dropping.
He just kind of like set him down and like
it wasn't powerful. It wasn't intense
because he didn't like leave his feet. He like Murdoch stayed completely like standing straight up and just it didn't look good. So then he hits that spine buster, and then Trevor throws down because after this Stevens, he's trying to distract
Murdoch.
He's distracting him.
He's trying to show some distraction.
So he throws down the flag and all that. So then that really pisses off question mark, and then he hits like a double the double
he
spike.
did the double spike.
Yeah,
for
the double
win.
spike.
The
for
double
the
spike
win,
for the win. A little bit of history once again on Trevor Murdoch. He was a WWE guy years ago. He was tag team champion with Lance Cade. He unfortunately passed away. And Murdoch was also involved in that controversy from the NWA because Jim Cornette has to use him in a phrase before he got fired. We all know what the situation was. We're not going to go into that. But like you said, I mean, Murdoch is a semi-decent wrestler, I would say, for his size and everything.
Yeah, and that's the one thing with, like, when I'm watching this, I see, like, question mark. I mean, he's not exactly, like, you know, an Adonis. He's not ripped and jacked and everything, but he's like at least can move and like he's over more. I feel people like Trevor Murdoch and Ken Anderson, like, you know, they had their time. Now it's like, you know, you should like get out of here.
Put people over. I mean, put people over, and that's what they did. That's nice. I really like the uses of the spike. Umaga used to use that. Also, like you said, Haku. So a lot of Samoans have used that as a finisher, the spike onto the neck and everything. So it was a good match. Also, Murdoch got some spots in the match, was trying to pull the mask because we want to know with the question mark.
Yeah.
And like you said, the main thing that I take from this match is how like the relationship that question mark and Aaron Stevens have. You know, like a one like where they cheer for question mark, but they hate on Stevens.
Yeah,
so that was
like
really, that was really cool to see. Yes.
So then we get the tag team championship match, the Wild Cards versus the Rock and Roll Express.
See that you were very excited about that?
Yeah, to see, because I just, like I said to you, I wanted to see like how much the Rock and Roll Express can actually do versus how much their opponents do for them. You know what I mean? And they each had their own insurance policies come out. I forget the names.
The names that we just couldn't get it right away. But like they both have two tag teams, one for each side, so they will make sure that there was no interference or anything of that matter.
But then early on in the match, there was a kind of a funny spot. They back Morton, the Wild Cards, they back him into their corner, and then they tag in. He tags into the other guy, and then Morton like ducks under and runs like on the apron, like away from him, and he's like looking at him like I'm not like forget this.
And then he goes like he goes like this, and I mean the match for what it was, just because before you take us to the highlights, it's like they go with like at least the basic things. So things that they can still do, because we got to remind everybody that they're 61 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're still tag team champions, but let's take us through some highlights.
Yeah. So then he tags in Robert, and then both of the Wild Cards, they they get a little bit of fighting, and then they end up on the outside. Morton hits a suicide dive.
Which Gibson, he had to open up the rope really big because he did a suicide dive, which I think he did okay.
Yeah,
like I said, Rollins suicide dive.
Oh,
no power.
It didn't look any worse than Seth Rollins.
No power, no strength, no Amber Moon, no Samoa Joe, so it was decent enough.
And then the Wild Cards, they try to pin Morton, but he's the wrong man. As in the Wild Card who's in there, because I didn't catch both of their names.
Yeah. I just didn't really catch them either. I know it's the Wild Cards.
Yeah, so the one was in there, and he was the wrong man, and then he had to... And then, so they switched out, and then by the time the right guy was in, Morton was able to kick out at a 2 count. And then he makes the hot tag to Gibson. Gibson, he takes out both men.
Shoulder tackles here and there, a few punches, yep.
And then eventually the whole thing breaks down. Morton hits a Canadian Destroyer for a 2 count, but then their two insurance policies, they're all kind of jaw-jacking, like yelling, fighting on the outside.
They start feuding on the outside.
Yeah, so then...
some interactions right there.
So then the Wild Cards start looking outside, and they're yelling, like trying to calm their men down, and then double super kick or drop kick.
Double drop kick.
Yeah,
double drop kick for the 3 count for the win, and the Rock and Roll Express retain the NWA Tag Team Championships. Is it a surprising outcome for you or no?
I thought it was, because I thought this was going to be a thing where they gave them the belts and it was a feel-good moment, like, you can be on our first pay-per-view, but like, you guys are 60-something years old. You guys are a little bit of bullshit. Like, I love them, but they still, it's like...
your time is already... Yeah. It's like your receipt has already expired.
Yeah,
like,
so I thought, they were just going to drop the belts here and then just, like, go off into the sunset. But, like, like we said, some of the moves that they did they were legit.
Yeah, like you said, the Canadian Destroyer was good, but it's because the other man is helping out.
Yeah, he's the one who
more
does
than
the
like
flip.
doing the flip and everything. So they do good.
Yeah, the guy who delivers the Canadian Destroyer is just along for the ride. He just sits on your back, and the other guy's the one who
is
does
the only
the
one
flip.
that is doing the flip and everything. So I want to say, yeah, it was decent. I was really surprised with the outcome because of the same reasons. I just thought that they did that to pump up to hype the paper.
Yeah, and like I said, if you watch this and you're not like, if you're gonna be like a mark and be like this is unrealistic and this is then it's like okay. But if you just look at this and it's just like a fun match, because like again we're not like super invested in NWA. This is our first glimpse at the product, so it's like. To me, it was fun, and like I enjoyed it. Like to see them win, I didn't think they would, and to see them win, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah, like it.
Because how can I mean, obviously they won the belts, but it's like you can say, "Oh, the Rock and Roll Express are beating teams in 2019, almost 2020."
That's one thing, and also like we get to see the Rock and Roll Express winning matches because we've never seen.
Yeah, and I wasn't even born in their heyday. You know what I mean?
They say that like when I was already alive for Starrcade, like they defended tag team championships like 33 years ago.
Yeah.
So for the ones that don't know my age, there it is. I'm not telling it once again. So it was good for what it was, and yeah, like I feel that like they're trying to promote the mark, the brand on its own, and that's something really interesting because there were a lot of people that they were chanting NWA.
Oh yeah, the crowd was definitely into it. They said this was the fastest like selling fight TV thing like they've ever done something like this. It was like I guess the pay-per-view sold out like really quick.
And that's really cool to see because we want to promote competence, competition. We want to promote different brands because like that is the only one reason that hopefully WWE will become better. They will improve. They will decide to improve, knowing that there's an NWA that is, rising. There's AEW. There's Impact. They might not acknowledge it like we do, but that they know that there's people behind them.
Oh, yeah. And also, they did announce that I think it was January 24th.
They're going to have another pay-per-view. The name yet to be determined.
Yeah.
And also, they said that, like, at that time, I don't know if it is that time, but they're going to make the return of the NWA
television championship. Which I thought it was, I thought Bad News Barrett was going to say he was coming out.
I know.
But then he reached out and pulled out the belt. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that'd be cool if it's like a multi-man match and he's just in it.
Now that you mentioned Bad News Barrett, did you like him in commentary?
Oh, yeah.
Did he do a good job? Question for you, because I'm always going to be questioning John Paul Egg. Did he do better than Excalibur?
Oh well, I mean, he was the color guy.
Yeah.
So it was hard to compare him to Excalibur.
Jim Ross, like, did he do?
Oh, I would take him over Jim Ross, the current Jim Ross, any day. Yeah. And that's no disrespect to Jim Ross, but
Well, we know he's the man, but now he's a little bit. He needs to improve a little bit for us. Yeah. But I think that they did, like with the other guy, they did a really good job. Like it was entertaining. They show way more emotion than like an AEW will do. So I really enjoyed their work, and very, very surprised and very happily surprised at like the knowledge that Stu Barrett or Bad News Barrett has. So good job on him. Kudos to him.
So then we get Ely Drake. He comes out then and he shoots a promo. He says how he is
the man.
Yeah, that even though Nick Aldis is the champion, he's the one who, is the hottest thing here. He's the one who everyone is trying to ride his coattails to be as popular as him, because look at all these new people turning into NWA. They're tuning in to watch him.
It's because of Ely Drake.
Yep, so Ely Drake says it's all because of him, but then Ken Anderson comes out, attacks him, and he puts like the chair over his head, slams him into the ring post.
On the ring post, yeah.
Yep, and then he hits the mic check on the chair.
That's his finisher, yeah. He's been doing that since Impact days. Yeah.
So then Ely Drake, he's pretty much done. So then I would assume that this continues their feud.
It seems like it's going to continue.
Yeah, so then that was a pretty brutal beatdown. But, I mean, that was a cool thing just to see, like, where they were going. Because it seemed like Ely Drake was going to challenge next.
It seemed like he was going to be the number one contender for whoever wins out of Aldis and James Storm.
Yeah, but then, of course, like we said in the beginning with now you have Marty Scrull. So now it's like that makes sense. Because even though I would love to see Ely Drake versus Marty Scrull, I think that would be a badass match.
Oh, that's maybe for whatever pay-per-view is going to be their main pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. That will think that will be a championship match right there, because both of them are young, both of them are in their prime. So we can go over that towards the end of this, but like let's keep going.
And then we get Allison Kay, and like I said, her partner. This was like they weren't sure this was going to be a handicap match or what this was going to be, and she's the women's champion for NWA, Allison Kay. So she doesn't have a partner, and it's her versus Melina and Marty Bell.
Returning Melina from the WWE's former WWE Women's Champion, former partner of Nitro and Mercury, and MMN. MMN, that's what it was in the tag team. On the 2008, 2009, that's what it used to be. She made her in wrestling return. So
yes, and then so they weren't sure how this match was going to be, and then before it starts, who comes out?
ODB.
Yep, ODB. So she comes out and she does the whole everybody loves it.
And then the whiskey thing and
from the little flask.
Oh yeah, like I love ODB. She's being hot right now because also she's having some matches on Impact. She's been on Impact. She was added into a Hard to Kill. Okay. That's going to be the next pay-per-view. She's going to be added into a triple threat match between Taya Valkyrie, the champion, and Jordan Grace. So it's going to be a triple threat match with ODB.
Oh yeah, that'll be.
So she gets added into the surprise entrant.
So then Melina, she starts off against Allison Kay. Allison Kay, for the faces, she was in like probably 90% of this match.
Yes.
ODB didn't really tag in until the end. Melina, she was like the complete coward in here. It's the same thing. Melina Bell was pretty much the one. Or no, it is Marty Bell. I'm getting all mixed up. Marty Bell was the one who
first show in here.
She was the one who.
We're getting acquainted with his name.
Yeah, she was the one who pretty much worked most of this match for the heels too. So Melina cowardly tags in Bell. And then Kay beats down Bell, takes control of the match. Melina, she like tries to distract Allison and like mouth off to her, and then she gets thrown into the ring, and then kind of all chaos breaks down. Bell and Melina isolate and beat down Kay, but then ODB gets the hot tag.
That's right.
And then she takes out Bell, shoulder tackles, Bronco Buster, and then Kay hits the it looks almost like the dead eye.
Yeah, her finisher was almost like the dead eye.
Yeah, it's like a reverse tombstone, or like a backwards
it's
behind the back tombstone.
It's like the dead eye, or like the Trent Beretta, the guy from the Best Friends. The same finisher that he uses, and it's the same exact move. And then ODB.
ODB hits the TKO for the pin on Bell. So like again, none of these matches were real long. Like they might be long, but there's not a lot of action because you get a lot of like chin locks and stuff like that. It's like real, like we said, this is a real old school style
mentality. Like you said, there was no flips. There was no springboard moves. There was not like with this type of action that we're used to, let's say, on AEW and Dynamite with like the Lucha Bros, like the Young Bucks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like with all those tag teams, like you will say Ricochet, you will say all like Carrillo, you will say Mustafa Ali and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very different pace, very different style. Like you said, chin locks, old school moves done, at the best of their ability. Meaning like they hold that move for a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a decent showing for the women's champion. Like I said, this is the first time really seeing her, and I would like to see her in like a one-on-one, just more of that kind of aspect, and just going against like we said, Thunder Rosa or somebody. That would be cool to see. Maybe
a Melina, if Melina is able to go for like a full match. We'll see. Do I like what I see? Did I like what I see from Melina? Yeah. Yeah, Melina was good. She was a decent wrestler. She was able to put good matches back in the day with Mickie James, back in the day with Beth Phoenix, and those were main rivalries at that time. So yeah, for sure.
And then we get the NWA National Championship match, the triple threat. So Ricky Starks versus, was it Aaron Stevens?
Aaron Stevens.
And then Colt versus Colt Cabana.
Colt Cabana. CM Punk's ex-best friend.
Yep, so Stevens, he gets thrown out of the ring early on, and then he hides near the announce desk. So then Cabana and Starks, they have a nice back and forth. Almost reminds you of like, when you have two talented guys like a Jerry Lynn, RVD, it's like counter dodge the move. So they had a little bit of that going on. Colt hits a crossbody for a 2. Stevens comes back in, but both men, they beat him down because clearly, like, they were the two faces, and then Stevens was the heel, and it's like, get this guy out of here. So they're beating him down. Steven hits a low blow on Colt, though, and then a discus clothesline on Starks. Colt, and then he throws Colt out, and he tries to enter the match, or, like, back in the ring, and Question Mark was there. So he keeps knocking Colt off the apron, and Stevens keeps control on Starks. Colt tries to get in again. He gets a knee when he's on the apron, gets knocked out. Big lariat for a 2 count on Starks.
Starks played the heel here, like, most of the time, because like hiding, he didn't want to be in the
Stevenson.
Stevenson, I'm sorry. Stevens. He was playing the heel, he was trying like not to be in the match. He was hiding behind the Christmas tree or whatever they had. Like, that was the strategy, so playing a full-fledged heel.
Yeah, which I like. And then, because like I said, both guys, it was more like you kind of had like the good, like, oh, we're going to have a good sportsmanship, a good match. And then he was messing that up by being like the dastardly heel.
Of course.
So, like I said, Starks fights back with some chops and then a sling blade. And that was a really good sling blade.
Oh, yeah. It was good.
And then Colt finally makes it back in the ring. And Starks and Colt, they both work over Stevens. Like I said, anytime it was the two of them and Stevens, they would just beat him up. And then there was a good spot. Then Starks finally is like, well, I can't just keep working with Colt. I got to win this thing. So he hits a drop kick and then a senton. So he hits the drop kick, I believe, on... I think he hit the drop kick on Colt, and then he did a senton onto Stevens from it. And then Colt counters a tornado DDT attempt and then gets the Billy Goat's curse on Starks. Starks is able to get the rope break.
That's right.
And then... there's tons of counters back and forth between Cabana and Starks, and then Starks hits the tornado DDT, and then once he hits that, Starks is like he's near the ropes, and then he gets the spike from ? And then once he eats the spike, the ref doesn't see it. Then that's when Stevens
like rolls in.
Yeah, he comes back into the ring. Oh no, that's I think isn't that when he hits the? Doesn't he do the Superman?
Oh,
and then that's when he hits the...
Yeah, well, he does that, like, he distracts Cabana.
Yeah.
He gets the spike on Cabana.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, he rolls in.
Yeah,
because Stevens, because Starks is, like, out already. And then Stevens rolls in, and then 1, 2, 3, and we have a new NWA National Champion.
Yep.
I mean, good match. And this was a little bit longer.
Yeah, this was definitely the best. I would say the best match up to this point.
Yeah.
And it's because it was given the length,
And like, probably the best match of the night.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, at least these 3 men like put on a decent showing.
Yeah, because there was like more fast-paced action. Because it was like the 3 guys, like Colt Cabana for his age is still pretty good.
Oh yeah, he did a really good job, and I mean. Aaron Stevens, like we know he's a decent wrestler. He can do some stuff, but for what we've seen in WWE when he was Damian Sandow, he still has the same gimmick. Because he came out with like the robe and everything, and the hallelujah. That used to be kind of like the same exact gimmick.
But I like how he's getting a reaction, like they're booing him. It's not like he's coming out and there's nothing, and people are just on their phones. And
he's not a jobber anymore.
Yeah,
pretty much. He's not a jobber, so that's really good. And he's a champion now, so that's good for him.
Oh yeah.
And Starks, I can see he's a really good wrestler, so we can see more of him. Maybe when they debut the television championship.
Yeah, he could vie to be in that. Saying, "Hey, I didn't get pinned." You know what I mean?
He can lobby for that, and there can be another opportunity for him to go for a championship. And I think after this we have main event.
Yep. Then we get the main event: Nick Aldis versus James Storm.
Well, before we had some video packages explaining the rules and everything, and we're gonna go through that. Also, like they were featuring Camille. Camille is like Nick Aldis' bodyguard, I will say, like or like his enforcer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were doing that, like what would be best for Aldis to retain, what would be best for Storm to retain, and then if Camille is going to play a role in this whole match. So then we go main event time.
Yeah, so then the ref of the first fall is
Brian Hebner.
Brian
Hebner, for the ones that don't know, is Errol Hebner's son, WWE Pass, Impact Pass, and now he's on NWA.
Yeah, and then the second ref is Jim Storm, was it?
Tim Storm.
Tim Storm.
Yeah,
so,
he's another wrestler, like also like old school wrestler, and I guess they gave him the role because he was supposed to be the one challenging Nick Aldis. That's what they said in the video package. But Storm find his way into the championship match, talking to the authorities, the directives of the show, and then he got the number 1 contendership. So the first fall is once again is Brian Hebner. If there's a second fall, we will be Tim Storm. And then the third fall will be, because this match is actually 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, so it will be a coin flip.
It will be a coin flip to decide who's going to be the referee. So both champion and number 1 contender come out. First minutes of the match, Camille comes up.
Yep. She comes out, and then Aldis is like, what are you doing? I said I didn't want you here. I wanted this to be, even, clean, blah, blah, blah.
I gave you the night off.
Yeah, so he sends her to the back, and what happens as soon as he turns around?
Last call. And 1, 2, 3, James Storm gets the first fall. Yep. And the last call, for the ones that don't know, is a super kick. So it's just that. James Storm's finisher, ever since I know James Storm.
So then, after that, they brawl on the outside a little bit, and then it's just real slow. The whole pace of this match, and like we said, this show, for the most part, the pace was just slow, and the slow pace benefits James Storm, because he's a guy who he can't wrestle, to, the capacity of someone like a Ricochet, or, guys like on NXT. They can't constantly go. They have the small burst. They burst for 30 seconds, and then they're gassed for a couple minutes, and they need to do some rest holds.
Oh, yeah, he's like Jericho.
Stuff like that,
He's like Jericho. You need the pacing of the matches, some 3 or 4 sequences of good action, really, fast, and then you need, another 10.
Yeah, so...
to recover.
So they're brawling on the outside. Storm hits a suplex on the outside. That was a good spot. But then Storm gets thrown into the Christmas tree. Both men brawl back into the ring. Aldis hits a nice belly-to-belly. Then Aldis hits a bunch of clotheslines on Storm. Storm hits the Eye of the Storm for a 2 count. I like that move.
That's move. Yeah. It's like the Razor's Edge.
Yeah, but he spins around, yeah.
But when you have him up, you just spin him around, and then you let go. So really, yeah, I like the move, Eye of the Storm.
Yeah, and then he brings a chair into the ring, and then the ref is like, no, don't do that. In the commentary, I like the point, like they said, if he would suffer a DQ, they would take his fall away.
Yeah.
So then it would be 0-0.
Oh no! If he would do that, it would automatically Aldis gets another fall. It will be 1-1 because that's what the.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's what they're saying. And is it worth it? Because he gets him with a chair, he loses the fall, but then he can just spin him, and then it will be still 2-1.
Oh yeah, and then Storm, he gets a small package on Aldis, but then Aldis, he reverses it.
Reverses.
Yeah. So then that's the second pin. And then right after that, he hits a Michinoku driver on the Storm. Aldis counters. He tries to hit the backstabber twice.
Yeah, just for the record, though, they did flip the coin.
Oh, they flipped the coin.
They flipped the coin to just find out who was going to be the ref for the third.
And it was Hebner.
The third fall, and it was Hebner. So go ahead. And I really enjoy the third backstabber. But with the first 2 attempts, it was kind of crappy. Both of them came out really bad.
Yeah, I think the first one might have been. I think he was countering him. I don't think he was actually supposed to hit him. Maybe the first one, but the second one, I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. It was. I wasn't sure if it was a botch or if it was
they
just
repeated that spot, and then that was okay. Well, the third one came out at least good because the first 2 to me they botched both of them.
Oh yeah, so then he gets a 2 count once he finally hits the third one. A superplex by Aldis on Storm for a 2 count. Storm hits an elbow drop. Then for a 2 count, Storm tries for the last call again, but he gets dodged. Then Storm gets Aldis in the figure 4. Aldis is able to reverse it. And then a tombstone on Storm, followed by an elbow drop for a 2 count. Aldis then accidentally clotheslines the ref. And then it's all what's going on?
Well, and then Team Storm gets back on the... He becomes the referee right away.
And the commentary at this point, they're saying, oh, well, this isn't fair because not the commentary, just Barrett.
Oh, yeah.
Saying how, because he was playing a little more of the heel.
He was playing more of the heel.
So he was saying, this isn't fair because he's friends with Nick Aldis, so he's going to call this unbiased. Aldis hits a DDT on Storm. Sunset flip for a 2 count, though, on Aldis. The last call sends Aldis into the corner, and at this point he's hanging on to the turnbuckle pad because he's been knocked out, and he's just using that to hold himself up. And then he tries for a roll up, but he pulls off the pad, and then when he kicks out from it, he kicks Storm right into
the pad. Yes. Yeah.
So he kicks him right into the metal ring that the pad was covering. And then he puts him in the sharpshooter. Or
it was like a sharpshooter or a single crab.
Yeah,
like a single Boston's crab. He was trying to do that, and he passes out.
Yeah,
Storm was completely out.
So the ref pretty much calls it because he's done.
Yeah, he was at least. One point that I want to mention is that he did the old school way, lift him the arm. Mm-hmm. He did that 1, 2, and 3, something that we don't see in WWE ever again. So that was really cool to see. And when he did that, match is over and retains the championship, Nick Aldis. Mm-hmm. And he I mean, the winner, okay, the match was kind of decent. I thought a little bit more of this guy.
I definitely expected more, but then, like, when you really think about it, it's like we said about James Storm, you know, no offense to him, like, love beer money and all that stuff.
Beer money is legit.
And it's like, what really could he do? And, you know, we're spoiled from companies like AEW and New Japan and WWE when they want to. It's like, they give us these, like, great matches with this credible, you know, athletic, athletic feats of, you know, like great
springboard moves,
but here
showing all athleticism, like
but here it's like dives. It's definitely a lot more old school. And like this match, it was pretty good because I didn't think James Storm was gonna win. You know,
I was calling for James Storm, but
now this maybe continues the feud a little bit because he could say, "Oh, you know, your boy came in. He's the one who made the 3 count. You pulled off the turnbuckle pad. You screwed me." And there's something with Camille still. What she told him, you know, that storyline is still going on.
And especially because she doesn't talk at all.
Yeah, and so she cost him. And she cost him the first fall, technically.
Yeah, and then
so
Nick Aldis comes. He returns to the. I want to say like the interview.
Yeah, he goes to like the little like interview desk.
And then and then he's calling. Yeah, he said, "This is not my ring." You know, before when I was a little younger, I would have said, "This is my ring," but it's not. It's our ring. And then he keeps pumping NWA. He keeps pumping like, "This is where we showcase our abilities. This is where we cultivate our passion and everything." And now I'm the best man, pretty much. And right away, boom, lights out.
Yep.
And then who comes out?
Marty Scrull comes out, and like huge pop. And you even said when the music hit. Or even before the music, you were like, "Oh, it's gonna be Marty Scrull."
Yeah, so there
because
you go.
It's like, who could it be? And like I said, this was a thing where you have so many new people watching, us two included, and it's like, how do you get people to stay? It could have just ended with that Nick Aldis promo and then been done. But how do you get people to stay? You
to tune in for the next show.
You gotta do the big pipe bomb like that. You gotta do the mic drop and be like, "Who do we have?" Boom, the big surprise.
You gotta give me a hook, so I can, you know, I'm actually gonna start tuning in.
Yeah, because
on YouTube. So
because now, I'm definitely a lot more interested. I'm gonna be tuning in on the 24th, and I'll try to keep up on highlights on YouTube. So I'm a little more educated going into the next show because, like you said, they hooked me.
Yeah.
If I busy schedule, if I can watch all of NWA, because at some point I do want to get caught up, because it's not many episodes.
No, I think it's like, you know, maybe like a month, 2 months.
Yeah, I know. I think I saw maybe like 12 some episodes. It's not a lot of episodes.
No.
So, and they're only about an hour long, some a little less, some a little longer. So it won't take long at all to get caught up. And
that's why the pay-per-view was only, what, like 2 hours?
Yeah, two and a half hours. Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thank you for
the short pay-per-view. Like I said, I definitely will be here the 24th watching it, and I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah, like it was a great show, and then, you know, every time that we get to see more wrestling, we even educate ourselves even more, and you know, we get to know more styles, we get to see new wrestlers. Everybody is the winner here. So I really appreciate what they did. It was a really good show.
And the one thing with Marty Scrull showing up here, that almost confirms that I would say he's not going to NXT or WWE because they would definitely not let him wrestle.
They will not let him do that, you know. And especially yesterday was his last appearance on Ring of Honor and everything.
Yeah, and you know it's not going to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to sign with NWA full time," because I don't think that's a thing. I think all those wrestlers can go wrestle other places if they want.
And they have the ability to go and work other promotions.
Like you said, some of them it might be in AAA and stuff. So it's like, I would say he's definitely going to AEW.
I think that like he probably said the same thing that like John Moxley, Jericho have. I mean, like, hey, if I have an opportunity to go somewhere else and have a few matches, let me do that.
No, yeah, like you said, because John Moxley's wrestling for the IWGP United States.
Yeah, we're gonna be covering Wrestle Kingdom also because it's gonna be a 2-day thing. It's gonna be January 4th and 5th, and we have Jericho fighting Hiroshi Tanahashi, and we have John Moxley challenging for the United States Championship that he never lost against Ash Lance. Or Lance Asher, I think it is. Yeah. On a Texas death match, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
So that'll be a legit.
It's gonna be a legit match, and it's gonna be Wrestle Kingdom. It's gonna have a lot to talk about. But imagine, like, see, the promoters are thinking this through really, really good because finally somebody is like actually going for 2 days. You know, in the first day they're gonna have the semifinals. I think it's gonna be Jay White against Okada, and then Naito with Ibushi, and whoever wins from those will fight in the second night. So it's going to be great, and we're gonna keep promoting, we're gonna keep watching, we're gonna keep delivering great reviews for you guys. So your closing thoughts? Was it worth it?
Oh, yeah, for me, it was worth. Like I said, I'm a little more invested. It wasn't one of those shows where you watch it and you're like, "Oh my god, this spot was crazy and this and that." It was like more. Yeah, it was. It wasn't like a spot fest. It was more the storytelling and like again, if you're a fan of the old school, you'll like this. If you think old school wrestling from the mid to late 80s, early 90s, if you find that boring, then NWA is probably not for you.
Or like, 70s, 80s, Freebirds, all of that.
If you find that old school style to be boring, then this probably isn't for you.
Probably is not your cup of tea.
Yeah, but if you like this stuff, I thought it was good.
I said it was good.
I'm getting a little bit invested more in the characters, and I want to know who they are, like the wild cards. Like I want to know what those guys' names are. I want to know their tag team division and learn, who these guys are and become more educated and familiar with them.
That's what that pay-per-view did for me.
Yeah.
It's like, now I know who they are. Now I want to get to know who they, what they do, if they really, like, their personalities, what they, what they got
where
to
did
offer.
they wrestle before?
What they got to offer for me. So, yeah. And Paul, I think we did a decent video. And I think we did a pretty good coverage of everything that we did, and we want to also...
Like I said, it wasn't a long show, and that was good, though.
Oh, yeah. See, we're still energetic, so we're going to go right now to Facebook Live for everybody. And we want to also pump the rest of our content. We have Monday Night Raw review, we have AEW Dynamite review, we have NXT, we have Smackdown, we have Previews and Predictions.
Always have all the weekly shows.
For TLC also, we will be covering TLC as soon as the pay-per-view is over. We'll be right there. So guys, I hope you guys enjoying this, because we are. We love what we're doing, and I hope you guys love it too. So Jean-Paul, in the name of you and myself, we want to say...
Ada!